Hello everyone, and welcome to my universe. So, let's see. Last time I smoothed out most of just the front hair, and I think I got like half this pigtail. You know, hair is always a thing, so I'm glad it is almost done again. So, let's go and finish it off today. There was just one thing I wanted to check about it, and I just wasn't quite sure if the bangs here were level properly. So, I wanted to take a look at it without the eyebrows and the head shadows, just to make sure, because, yeah, when I look at how low this one goes versus how high this one is, it looks like they're not quite lining up properly. Let's see, when I look at what's here, I think that this side should be up a little bit higher, but I think that's the only real thing I need to fix here, so, you know, not bad. Alright. So I just want to adjust it would help if I'm on the right layer, huh? That generally is a little bit more effective. There we go. Alright, so I'm just gonna trim a little bit here. I never realized how big her forehead is. I think it's just because her eyebrows on her actual model are much further away from her eyes than they are on mine, since I kind of have her going, But, nonetheless, I do kind of want to respect the distance between the eye and the hair. I think I could probably get away with leaving it like this, but it's okay. We'll send it up just a little bit higher here. Actually, I kind of like that, so I think I'll leave it like that. And this, I'm just going to cut through here a little, just to ensure that I cut this at the right place. But there we go. I think that's about all it needs. And even so, mine is still a bit closer, but to be fair, my eyes are wider as well, so I think this is fine. But now I feel like it's at least symmetrical. The distance here is pretty close to the distance here. Close enough. I don't feel the need to make it so perfect that I like need my measuring stick. So that's maybe a little excessive even for me. Let's see here. I'm just looking at an off-stream reference here just to double check some things. Okay. So yeah, having a little strand here actually makes sense. And she kind of has something like that on her model too. And I was like, I don't know, I kind of liked that little thing that I put in there, so I felt a little bad about erasing it. Or more accurately, covering it up in this case. You know, then it turns out I don't have to. Such things are nice. I guess strictly speaking, I never have to. I do kind of like looking at these things. So let's see. Now, on her model, there's actually a pretty big gap between this strand and this strand. But, didn't quite work out in this case, so that's fine. That actually is fine. As much as I do like to respect as much as the original design as possible, I don't actually think that changes the impression of her hair enough for me to want to redo all of this. And since her hair is kind of falling this way, due to the way her head is tilted, so you know when you tilt your head this way, the hair falls due to gravity. Yeah, so it makes sense that the gap there would be a little bit less. So I am fine with this. I'm just gonna touch up all this and then we can really dig into the pigtails. I got it started last time. But, you know, getting it started is far from getting it finished. And I only did the easier of the two pigtails. The one up on the top, there's kind of a mess from when I was changing the angle of her head and fixing all of that. So, You know, that's gonna be a bit of an adventure. Okay, adventures are fun. It's good to go on an adventure occasionally. Okay. Now to straighten this. So, the big thing I'm watching for here is stylistic choice of everything must be straight lines. So I'm trying to eliminate as many curves as possible. As many as possible. So that means that this strand, there's a little bit of stuff in there, and also this is really long, and I don't think I want to attempt to make this a straight line without my line tool. Huh. Wow, these angles are actually quite different, aren't they? Yeah, from here to here goes like that. Okay, in that case, I'm gonna do it from the other way. I'm gonna go from here up to here, and we'll fill it in like this. Yeah. Okay. My past self just didn't get that quite right. That's okay. I actually kind of like trying to hand draw the straight lines, you know, skills aside. I do worry that having everything be just so ridiculously straight, the kind of straight that you'd get with a line tool, that it looks almost sterile. So, you know, having my own inability to draw perfectly straight lines, I think actually makes it a little more interesting in some ways. Just one of those things. So it doesn't bother me too much if it's not completely perfect. But I like to try to get it close. And I mean, you guys have been seeing that I've been using the line tool for a lot of things. I don't mind making my life a little bit easier in that regard, but I do think that there's something special about my particular strokes. I've actually heard some analog painters say that that's why they don't like digital, because they think that there's something special about the kind of strokes they make, and I don't know. I still personally think that it applies to digital too. I do. I think people that use digital also have their own particular way of making lines and whatnot, so I still think it's there. Okay, and there we go. I think that fixes everything that I wanted to fix about her front hair here. So now I think I can dig into all of this. Okay, so to do that, I kind of want to get rid of some of this stuff back here because it's making it a little bit hard to see where I should put black. And I can already tell that I have some areas that are covered in black outlines here just due to how I painted it before. So I might as well do it all. If I tried to keep some areas without outlines, like if I were to say, okay, since there's going to be black here, I'll just go ahead and get rid of the outline through here. And then suddenly the width of it changes and it's all very awkward. So you can see that there does need to be a black outline here, so if I tried to have it there but not here, this looks very awkward to me. So no, I do need the black outlines, which means I do need to get rid of the stuff behind it in order for me to see it properly. So that will be the back hair and her tail, it looks like. Okay, but now I can see clearly. Easy enough. Alright, and then some of this is just kind of leftovers from when it was a little bit more behind her head, as opposed to flying out here like this. So I actually want to change a few things. So I'm going to start kind of roughly painting in the outlines I want to use and whatnot. and any other shapes in there. I don't think I'm gonna get into the super strandy parts, so the textures kind of like this or this just yet. Just the general gist, and then I'll see areas that just feel a little bit boring, and I'll fix them up. I'll make them a little bit less boring. It'll be great. But for now, let's just go ahead and get the general structure of it all. Make sure I know where the shadows and whatnot are going to lie. For hair, I don't actually feel the need to put highlights in, especially for this style. I probably don't even need to add highlights to this, but I think I still will. I think I still like them. We'll see how I feel about it. I remember liking them in the last version of this drawing that I was working on. But I just want to get a good understanding of the big picture here. Then after that, I can worry about the little details. And so let's see, these little strands, I actually don't mind making their lines a little bit more delicate and a little bit thinner. But for the big clumps, I do like those big, thick, juicy lines. I think they are fantastic. Okay, and for this little guy, I think I actually want him to be coming out like this. So I'll add... or he's sticking out here, and I don't know, I think I'll have him kind of come up here like this. Have him come out of like this little area there. Okay, and here, since this part is now a little bit higher, I think I would actually like this lighter area to come up a little bit higher. I think I can still keep most of my little texture lines there, that's fine. I just want to send it up a little bit higher, something like that. This area is still firmly under the shadow of the ribbon. Oh yeah. Okay. So just due to how this ribbon is structured, I would actually like a little bit of a green line around it. I'm debating if I want to do the same over here. I think I do. So let's add a little bit of green around it here. I'd still like to keep that little bit right there. And let's see, since I've already finished the main bulk of the hair here, I want to paint this immediately. Get it perfect before I continue on with the pigtail. I just want to be done with this layer. And that way I just don't have to think about it anymore. There we go. It was an easy enough little fix. Okay. And I think before I start digging into this shadow, because this one's definitely going to be different, I'm just going to outline this little strand coming out here real quick. Again, right now, just leaving it kind of messy so that this way I can get it done relatively quickly and get an idea of where all these dark areas are going to be. Kind of want this one to come out a little again. I'll kind of have it join up there, so let's see, a little bit shorter there. Something like that. And I can see that I'm going to have to fill in a little gap there, but that's fine. Kind of want this one to be a little bit thicker than it currently is. So let's add a little bit more bulkiness to this line here. And make it nice and big. There we go. No, those guys are fine. I don't really feel the need to change them. Okay. So up into here. Debating how I want to handle this one. But for now, I think I'll just extend... actually, I should probably do this one first. But yes, I just kind of want to extend the green area up a little bit higher. Right now, I feel like there's just a little bit too much shadow there. The structure of the hair changed slightly. Okay. Let's see, this one I still want to make it look like it's underneath some stuff. But with the way I have this area drawn here, it's clear that this strand is in front of this strand. So what I should actually do is this. This should come up higher. Kind of come up into all of that. Then this area should be underneath. And we'll just have it kind of connect up into this. Oh, and that works out nicely because now this strand right here will be a little bit more visible. Okay, and I think that looks nice. So, I think that will be the structure. Let's see if there's any other little things I want to be doing with this here. Okay, I might add just a little bit more shadow right there. So one thing I always try to be careful about in hair is I try to make sure that the strands are not all the same length and width. It tends to make things look a little bit too uniform, a little bit unnatural. So more man-made as opposed to the wild swinginess that you get with hair, where it just kind of does what it wants. So if you want to have hair that looks like it has a ton of mousse in it, then yeah, try to keep the shapes very, very similar, very, very samey. But if you just want it to be nice, fluffy hair, then mix it up. So here I'm just trying to find where I want to plop my extra shadows in. I kind of like these being a little bit closer together, and I don't want this shadow to get any thicker. So I think I'm actually gonna make this part a little bit thicker there. So that will change that. Yeah, and I'll let it come up just a little bit more. Just so it's not the same length as this one. So we'll make this shadow a little bit thinner. These are kind of going up next to each other a little bit. You can see that this one is technically underneath this one, but this bit of hair can still be underneath it, and they can still be a little bit closer together. With the way I have this structured, this is going underneath here, and then kind of meeting up here. I don't think I like this shadow for that anymore then, and I'll change that up a bit. And they can kind of connect there, and that's all well and good. Let's see, I think I'm gonna put this fully into shadow here. And I'm gonna add a few more little dark spots through here. Right now what I'm just trying to feel out is where the darkest parts are. Where it's really sinking into shadow. Strictly speaking, this would be one, but I want to keep a little green area around the ribbon just to make its structure a little bit more clear. But I can do something like this to kind of bring a little bit more shadow into it. And I think that's about the way I want it. Alright, I think I want a little bit more shadow down here. I just want this to be a little triangle, make it look like the strand is casting a little bit of a shadow onto this part. But other than that, I think that's about where I want it, so... Let's see, do I go render it now? Nah, I think I'm gonna go work on this one. Oh boy! Okay, well here goes nothing. Okay, I'm gonna start by getting rid of the parts that don't really work anymore. That'll be like these guys. Because, man, it has been torn to pieces. And I think I said that I wanted there to be a little bit going around this cheek here, because, man, that is a super big, pinchable cheek. And I like it. So I will use this to kind of define that outer cheek. And I think that's about where I want it. So I will use this to kind of define that outer cheek. And I think that's about where I want it. So I will use this to kind of define that outer cheek. And I think that's about where I want it. So I will use this to kind of define that outer cheek. And I think that's about where I want it. So I will use this to kind of define that outer cheek. And I think that's about where I want it. So I will use this to kind of define that outer cheek. And I think that's about where I want it. So I will use this to kind of define that outer cheek. And I think that's about where I want it. So I will use this to kind of define that outer cheek. And I think that's about where I want it. So I will use this to kind of define that outer cheek. And I think that's about where I want it. So I will use this to kind of define that outer cheek. And I think that's about where I want it. So I will use this to kind of define that outer cheek. And I think that's about where I want it. So I will use this to kind of define that outer cheek. And I think that's about where I want it. So I will use this to kind of define that outer cheek. And I think that's about where I want it. So I will use this to kind of define that outer cheek. And I think that's Okay, and here, I just feel like this part got split apart, and I can just rejoin it, and it'll be fine. Yeah, perfect. Okay, let's, I am gonna zoom in and really match up the edges, because that means I have less work to do. Come on, why are you not moving? There we go. Okay. Alright, I'll still want to smooth that out a bit, but that will make it easier than just redoing the whole thing. What the hell is even going on there? I can forgive myself because it wasn't originally like this. This just got horribly mangled when I was restructuring the rest of her face. and these things happen, you know? They happen. I'll try to rejoin some of this. It's not going to be as perfect as the other group, but... Okay. Do I want it covering her chin? I guess it's fine. Because mostly I was interested in that cheek, so I think that this is actually going to be okay. I'll have the strand kind of come out like this. I'm gonna zoom back out. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty here. I just want the basic idea. And I'll have another strand kind of sticking out with it. I like that cheek. I think that cheek is very cute. So I think all of this is actually going to be filled in, and most of it's going to be in shadow here. And since I am using it to define where the cheek will actually be, I want to be particular about where I put it, and make sure that her face is nice and squishy and adorable. Look, you can be a little crazy and a little adorable at the same time. Otherwise, people would be much better at ignoring red flags. It's all good. Or spotting red flags, rather. There we go. Right now, maybe we're a little bit... Actually, you know, that's kind of a point. I was gonna say maybe we're a little bit too good at ignoring them, but at the same time, I think we might put too much emphasis on them. Because humans are kind of bad people. I feel like this is even true of the people that are especially good at people. They're still kind of bad at people. Okay, what's going on here is a strand. So, you know what? No, that's actually all good. I'll have to decide if this still looks good like this. I'm not sure if it does. I might put a little bit less shadow on that. It looked good when it was just the front hair, but I'm not actually sure if this looks good with the pigtails. I'll think about that while I kind of restructure the rest of this. I'm trying to keep a lot of the original structures. I'm not sure if there's much point, but the original looked really good. So I kind of want to keep this as much as I can. So this is a little bit different now, so I'll go ahead and have a little bit less of a line there. And I guess this one's on top, so it'll be kind of like this. Okay, and I think most of this area should be green, and then we have just the area in shadow from the cheek through here. And then what are you? Are you going behind? I guess so. I think it's fine for this one to go behind. So it'll just be like this. We'll put some shadows in there, and it'll, like, magically start going behind things, and it'll look good. And it'll be great. I'll put a few more shadows in there, make this part a little bit thicker, I guess. And then maybe one little strand coming out there, just so it doesn't look quite so lonely. And like a big, vacuous void in the side of her head. Okay. This guy here, I'm actually gonna turn him a little bit. We're gonna... I think this makes it look a little bit more fluttery. You know, as much as I can when I'm using these super hard angles, but... yeah, you know, it comes with the territory. I just gotta figure out how to make that look nice. Put a little one going out over there too, I think. I think it would actually be better if I just got rid of this one entirely. Maybe replaced him with a smaller one. Maybe not, though. I don't know. I can't really get it to look good. But it'd look better if it came out of this one. No, it's starting to get a little bit too uniform with what's down there, I think, and that's why it's bugging me. What about, like, this? No, it's just too thin. If I was gonna do anything, it would have to be thicker. And I just determined that I didn't really like the thicker version. What if I did it like this? No, I think I like this one being a little bit smaller. What about like this, with out the big angle change there? That looks pretty nice, though. I felt like it needed something there, but all of my options I just wasn't very fond of. So, I just needed to think about it for a little while longer. Okay, that seems good. I think I'll just leave it there. Most of the hair here just kind of goes behind her head, so I'm sure it's all being very wild and interesting back there. But I don't care about anything back there, so it's fine. Let's go ahead and leave it like this. Okay, I think it is almost reconstructed. I just got a little bit of messiness through here, and I think in order to get all of that, I'm gonna go ahead and start coloring in the final version here. Yeah, I can't have it like that, so I'm gonna make this part a little bit greener with a little bit of a thinner line. It is going behind in this area, but it's still technically on top of most of the hair, so I just gotta show that. It's okay. I can forgive my past self for this choice, because with the information she had, this looked really nice. Right? Because I was basing it on the front hair alone. I had the pigtails hidden. So, a lot of the time I do kind of like to take a lot of groups of hair individually. And this is telling me that maybe I should stop doing that. I'm sure there's a time and a place for it. But with this style in particular, where the shapes and the thickness of the lines and everything is so important, I definitely have to tackle the hair as an entire group instead of several different pieces, like I normally would. So I don't have to get it into a super finished state at that point, but before I fully render things, I should definitely be looking at all the hair. So there we go. There's a little process optimization I can use. As this already looks a lot better. So. And now, on the pigtail layer, I can actually add a bunch of heavy shadows underneath it. So that's great. That's exactly the kind of thing that I want here. We'll just add some nice heavy shadows around it. Really make it stick out. It'll come a little further forward. In fact, I'm wondering, with it like that, can I add a thicker shadow here? No. Okay. It separates it from this hair a little bit too thoroughly, and then makes me wonder what the heck even is this hair supposed to be. The fact that it's in front of the ribbon, like you can see it overlap, helps, but not that much. There are limits here. Okay, and I really like the way that this looks, so I'm actually going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to take this part and move it up here a little. Just so that this way I can flood the entire area by the ribbon in black. There we go. So we'll have a little bit of shadow there. This way it looks like it's being kind of tucked into the ribbon. And in fact, I want to emphasize that a little bit more by adding another angle there. So now it looks like it's really going into that ribbon. That ribbon is squeezing that hair. So on this one, I wanted to add a little bit of green around it. I don't want to do that on this one. This one is nestled into her hair. It is being buried by the hair around here. So I just wanted to fade to nothing. So it's fine if the edge is kind of lost there. That actually looks great. I'm not going to worry about cleaning up a lot of this stuff here. But I'll get a little bit of it. It's one thing I won't have to deal with a little bit later, so. I'm debating how I want to handle this strand here. I think it might be fine to just make a little bit more of this area black. And in that case, I will actually make this guy a little bit more green. Oh, he actually ends right there. Okay, in that case, it's perfect. I forgot that this strand was just a little bit of the pigtail coming out. In that case, I probably shouldn't have it there. It lines up a little bit too perfectly with this. I actually thought that they were the same bit of hair, so maybe I should put it down here instead. Just let a little bit kind of fly out onto her cheek here. Man, that just makes it look, I don't think it's bad. I don't know what the word is, though. So I'll make it a little bit longer. I'll send it into her, closer to her teeth. Maybe even on the teeth themselves. No, I don't like it on the teeth. But near it is fine. Absolutely has to be green, though. Otherwise, it's not going to be clear that it's hair. Okay. And I want to keep this area pretty dang dark. But yeah, I think that looks good. So let's keep going. I think I want the lines here to be a little bit thicker, especially since that this one is kind of going into the background now. The thick lines will kind of make it go a little bit further back. That's just what shadows do, and I am using these as lines and shadows simultaneously. Okay, so something like that, I think that's fine. Then we have this hair out there with the really heavy shadows. This guy's going into the back, so I'll let that be a little heavier. And yeah, I guess all that's really left is to fill in these guys down here. This guy's pretty delicate, tiny little strand, so I don't think he needs a super thick line. I guess he's getting it because I'm clumsy, but that's fine. I'll fix it later. Not much point in getting it super perfect right now. I think I want this line to be just a little thicker. And since this is overlapping her face here, I actually do want it to be a little bit green and make it clear where it's coming out. Because it's not just covering out of this void here, it's on top of it. So, important to show that. But there we go. I think that's a pretty good little structure there. I think I want a little bit more shadow through here, so I'm actually gonna let this kind of be on top of everything. I'm just debating on how I want to handle that little strand there. Because it is going on top of her face. Yeah, this works. And then all of this is super void, and I'll just let it connect out with this strand here instead. Let it kind of come up like that. That is perfect. I don't think it needs to fully connect with this bit here. I think a little gap is fine. And now I have room for some nice big shadow, nice big shadow group right there. Okay. And that feels pretty good to me. So, I know I've already outlined this one properly. I did that at the end of last session. So I'm gonna go do the same here, and then I'm going to go and clean up this side. So here we go. Let's make this nice and smooth around the edge. I always like to do the edge first. Being able to lock the layer removes so much anxiety. Oh yeah, the bats around there, so I'm actually gonna hide that. Just so this way it doesn't interfere with my edges here. So I'm hopeful that today I can finish off the face, but I have to remember that I'm working on hair, and hair is extremely time-consuming. Just extremely. So we'll see how I do. We'll see how many highlights I want to add to the hair. I know I have a few drawn already. I'm not sure how they line up anymore, so I might just have to redo them entirely. That's, you know, from the old picture before I changed the pose. If I can finish the face today, I'll be very happy. And then I can make myself a new thumbnail that is less scuff. Embrace scuff and draw more. Oh, man. Man, I'm looking forward to finishing out the face in Katya too, because then I can make a new thumbnail for that one too, and it'll be great. I always like making a new thumbnail when I finish the face. It's taken a little bit longer than usual this time. That's okay. I think I mentioned before, I'm going through a little bit of an art slump here. I've been having a hard time doing a lot of things. I try not to let it show too much on stream. It's not so much that I'm lying, it's just that... I'm trying to think of the right word there, but... I don't know, nothing's particularly coming to mind. I'm not quite sure how to explain it. I guess it's just that, there's people of a lot of levels watching, and I know that when I was a baby artist, I always got really irritated with people that were just way better than me posting stuff and being like, man, it sucks. It's like, I know how they feel, but man. I just think it's kind of annoying when people are so self-deprecating, so I didn't talk about it much. Only a little. And even so, when I say that I like this particular thing, I'm not, like, lying or anything. It's hard to explain. Or it's just one of those things where... once you start learning stuff, you kind of become aware of your own deficiencies. And when I was a beginner, I was just happy to get the face symmetrical and proportionate, and that was very exciting for me. But as that's become more and more of a given, now there's different things I want to express, and I don't always feel like I express them well. Now, what I want to express is way more abstract. Just having a symmetrical face isn't enough anymore. There must be a feeling behind it. And that's not always there in a way that makes me happy. I do like the style, though. I think it's very interesting. And when dealing with art slum shenanigans, messing around with different styles, I think, is actually pretty interesting. Because, then I can actually focus on, okay, does this achieve the kind of stylistic choice that I wanted to go for? And that's a bit easier to do than whatever it is my brain is not happy with. So... it's been nice. Now I can do more things, and it's a good time. See, this is also where I think once I finish some of the drawings that I've been working on, I kind of want to look back at puppet animation again. So, I think that's the term for, like, live 2D style illustrations, where you just draw the image and then rig it instead of animating by drawing each frame. That level of speed is a bit beyond me right now, so I kind of want to look into that again, and I think that'll be another fun thing to derp around with until the brain is happy again. Okay. Brains, man, they just always want more, you know? Okay. Fortunately, it doesn't look like this is gonna be that bad. A lot of my lines are actually still pretty good, from the old version, now that I've cleaned up a lot of them. So that is nice. No, that's a bit too curved. I'm gonna bust out the line tool for that one. It's kind of a long one, so I think it'll be easier just to plop in a line here. Oh, that is not the line tool, that is a brush. Switched it back on me. Rude. Okay. And I think I'll do the same here. I don't feel like attempting to make this one straight. It's got too many issues. Alright. But now... I think I can handle the rest from here. Have that nice, hand-drawn character instead of relying entirely on the line tool. Okay. And of course, those angles must still be very sharp. So I definitely want to get this one to be that nice little corner there. No blobbiness allowed. Man, my hand is like extra shaky today. Okay, there we go. That's a bit better. Thought I was doing so well earlier. But then this happens and I'm just like, Okay, I'll go ahead and lock the layer for a second just so I can fill in all that. And you know what? She doesn't need a body right now. Oh, I don't have the body in a group. Okay. Well, that's okay. I'll try to get rid of some of this then. Hiding the body first, so hopefully YouTube doesn't get mad at me. Yeah, we're good. All is well. What is that? That's the ribbon. Okay. Gotta get it out of the way. So that this way I can see the very, very tip of the hair. So she's a floating head and arm for the moment, and that's fine. Alright, everybody knows that anime girls don't breathe. That's how I'm able to live in space. You don't need to breathe in space, it's fine. Okay. So you can see I feel like the line here is a little bit blurry, so I'm just kind of going over it one more time. That is not straight. Okay, you know what? Line tool. It's gonna save the day again. Guess who doesn't want to attempt to make that line straight? It's me. I don't want to. That sounds terrible. Okay. I had a little nap before stream today because I stayed up way too late last night. And I had a really weird dream during it. I was dreaming that for whatever reason, I was trying to get the stream started, and just all my music tabs started playing, along with various other things. And so there was just all this noise in the background, and then my kids had friends over or something, and they were just running around making all kinds of noise. Wanting my attention, and then just all these other problems kept cropping up. And by the time I was finally able to start the stream, I was like 2 hours late. Just apologizing for everything. I'm not sure where that came from. I actually feel like as VTubers issues go, I haven't had very many. Normally, I'm able to start on time. I don't think I've ever let my starting soon screen run for more than about 5 minutes. And the only times I get close is when I got distracted by Twitter or something, watching cat videos. I like to watch cat videos before starting stream. It calms me. So that was just one of those bizarre dreams. It was very strange. Dreams can be pretty wild. I'm not sure, how much stock I put into some of the mysticism around them. It can get a little bit cringe, but I do think that some of the emotions that come up to it are very much real, and probably your brain trying to tell you something. So I've been asking myself, brain, what are you trying to tell me there? And I have no idea. Sometimes it can be pretty obvious. I have this recurring dream of driving a car with the steering wheel in a weird place, where it's really bad at responding to my commands. It's like it's on ice, or sometimes the steering wheel doesn't want to respond to me, and I know a lot of that is just that I don't necessarily feel like I have a lot of control over things that happen, and it's very concerning. But this one, I'm like, huh. I've never been too worried about things like starting late or forgetting something important. So it's a bit of a mystery for me. I'm gonna have to think on that one. Figure out what my brain is trying to tell me, and it's entirely possible that the stream is just metaphorical, and it's actually not related to streaming at all, and that was just the image that it plopped into my mind because it's something that I was doing today. So that's also very possible. But I find them pretty useful. Brains are pretty bad at communication, just like people. They're very bad at communication, but brains are so bad that they make people look good at it. So they have a very strange way of going about it. And from what we understand of dreams being a somewhat of a garbage collector, trying to process all the things that happened and emotions that you're feeling, I do think that they can tell you something, so I try to pay attention. It is, in my opinion, the most basic and raw form of communication within the brain. Because the signals it gives you while you're awake are often pretty bad diagnostically. It's pretty hard to read. Dreams are pretty hard to read too, but they are a little bit more unfiltered. It's like someone that gets very sappy and honest when they're drunk. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about brains. They no longer hide anything from you, and they don't tell you happy lies so you can cope better. Or anything like that when you're dreaming. They just give you the raw, unfiltered data, and that's why it's so weird. I don't think this is scientifically validated. This is just kind of how I feel about it. I think that there might be some stuff behind it, but I am way behind on any kind of dream or brain research for that matter. Ooh, speaking of brain research, I heard that recently we managed to scan a very small percentage of a human brain into a computer in order to analyze it, and I'm just like, oh, hell yeah. So, We're getting there. And you know, the amount of space that those scientists had to use in order to store the sheer amount of data in our head, it puts LLMs to shame. The human brain is truly amazing. And this was just a tiny, tiny fraction. I think it was like 1/50th of a hippocampus. So not even the entire brain, just a part of it. And it still was like several terabytes big. I'm under the impression that they wanted to try to do the same thing with the mouse. And I didn't validate this. I did validate that one, but I didn't look up this one, but I also heard that they were able to fully scan a fly's brain and kind of make an artificial fly body, and it started moving, and that was pretty cool. If that's actually real, then that's pretty awesome. I look forward to the day that we can do something similar with human brains. It's like, man, if you guys think AI is giving people existential dread, just wait until we can do that. That will be something. Because that will ultimately answer the question if there's anything special about humans relative to other animals or not. Because if we can put a human brain into a robot, basically, and have a perfect copy of that human to where their personality is the same, they're able to move the same way, and all of that. That will be interesting. I will be very curious to see how humans respond to it. Because that will kind of make it clear that there's not necessarily anything special about humans. You know, relative to other animals. Well, we have the higher cognitive function, yes. But if we're able to fully replicate a human by scanning their brain, more or less, and then putting it into a robot body or something. Ooh. And if we can't, if it's not the same, then, you know, that has spiritual implications right there. Because that means that humans are more than their brain. So, I really look forward to seeing where neuroscience goes. I think it's gonna be so cool. It is gonna answer so many questions about what a human is. So many questions that humans have been trying to answer for a long time, whether through various bits of spirituality or, you know, science or anything else. A very exciting time. I hope I'm alive when the answer comes out, because I really want to know what the answer is. I'll be a little bit sad if I die first. But okay, I went ahead and finished smoothing out the edges of the other side there, so now it's just time to go in and fix up this guy. Get everything nice and smooth. And we'll finish off the pigtails here. Maybe talk about more science, actually. Maybe not science. But with me reading the Zero Escape series, I'm just like, oh man. The author, or authors here, have a similar fascination with me of making, I guess, it's less full worlds here, but worlds and stories based off of science that's not necessarily true. I am wondering if they think like the telepathy is real or anything. I don't really see any reason to believe that, but they do seem to like it. It seems like they just kind of came across some stuff and started putting it all together, and it's all very, very interesting. So the first one was morphogenetic fields, which was not something I had heard of. And it was brought up by this one kind of crackpot physicist called Shieldman. I read a little bit about him. Mostly just skimmed his Wikipedia article. And, yeah, it seemed like he was really, really interested in telepathy. So they, kinda made an entire little story around that concept and introduced a lot of ideas around it, and I thought it was kind of neat. I'm reading through the second game right now, Virtue's Last Reward, and I haven't finished it, so I can't say for sure, but seems like this is wanting to go into the idea of quantum time travel. I only know a little bit about it. Quantum time travel is theoretically potentially real, though, in just the way particles behave. And they're just making it on a bigger scale, as far as I can tell. And maybe a little bit different since they're using it to justify why the main character can remember information from other routes. So that wouldn't really happen with quantum time travel, as I understand it. Most of that is just shenanigans with elementary particles and stuff. I don't understand it very well. Well, once we start getting into some of the weird quantum physics realm, it's difficult stuff. So it's not something I understand especially well. But it is kind of neat. And I'll be curious to see what they do with it. But I always like doing stuff like that. I've talked about phlogiston a couple of times here, and I just think that it is such a neat little concept. Where basically the idea is that things burn because there is some substance within them, phlogiston as they called it, that burns, as opposed to, the burning being some other thing. And I think it's easy to make fun of people for things that they used to believe. But at least when it comes to outdated science, or science that has given way to new theories, that it's easy to forget that this was all based on raw human observation. Like, these were smart people. They just saw something. This was before we understood molecular structure properly, and they saw that there was something expanding within their test, and it's just because the molecular structure of heated air makes things faster, and there's shenanigans there. I would have to refresh myself on all of that in order to explain it properly, but so they thought that there must have been some substance that was going away, and thus they tentatively called it, phlogiston. And eventually we just found what the actual answer is, as we got tools that let us monitor tiny things. Imagine trying to study atoms when you can't see them, like... Pretty crazy stuff. And another one that I particularly enjoyed was when you think of the classical elements: air, fire, water, earth. that was ancient Greece, and this was one of their observations, and that was, again, something that came from particular observation before we understood what outer space was. And it was really very cool. Because it explained a lot of little things that they were observing in a very fascinating way. I'm trying to think of how to explain it again. It's been a while since I've read some of this stuff. But, when we think of the lightest element, or at least when I did when I was first looking at it, I didn't think it would be what the Greeks thought it would be. And, see, for me, I thought air was gonna be the one that was the highest up. But it's not, it's fire. So they saw the heaviest element as being earth, because, you know, that's what we stand on, that's what's the lowest. And then it was water, which, you know, sits on top of the earth. And then after that, it was air, which is all around us. And then it was fire, which is the sun. So it was an observation for why the sun stays in the sky and why fire goes up. And I was like, maha. Okay, that's interesting. They're just trying to explain some of these little things of how the sun stays in the heavens. And because I can only imagine if you don't know what space is and you don't know orbits and whatnot, that, yeah, it seems a little bit strange that the sun flies. And that when you light a fire, it goes upward. It doesn't stay on the ground. It goes up. So I thought that was kind of cool. And I very much like building stuff around that. I ended up making a world where some of that stuff was true. And there were a few more things in there too, and celestial spheres and a bunch of other kind of old-timey beliefs like that, because I think that they are neat. Incidentally, this is also why I get really irritated when people act like aliens are responsible for a lot of the human engineering feats that we did. It's like, how dare you undermine all the cool stuff that ancient people did just because you want aliens to be... just because you want it to be aliens, and I'm like, rude. And I mean, we found diagrams on how they were able to build some of these giant buildings, and we've been able to replicate some of the tools that they've made. So no, it's not aliens, it's just humans are awesome. And very clever, and found ways to do a lot with very little. I always get a little bit sad when people blame the pyramids or, you know, some of this other stuff on aliens. Like, no. They were just brilliant. And it was wonderful. So I tend to enjoy things. Either, you know, whether it's based on just outdated science or, you know, even stuff that's just fake, like telepathy. I think basing magic systems on that can be very, very interesting. So, needless to say, I've been enjoying Zero Escape so far. Sometimes it can get a little hokey, but... and, sometimes they definitely over-explain. But I still appreciate a lot of the things that they're talking about, and I think it's been fun. Looking forward to seeing where the second one is going here. All right. And actually, no, I mentioned it a couple of streams ago. I started reading this manhwa called Not That Kind of Talent. And it's okay. I'm not super into it, but it does have a neat kind of world building concept of there's the human realm and the demon realm, and demons are a thing, and they are generally kind of scary. And I mean, to be fair, everyone in this series is a bit of a dork, but you know, we'll go along with the conceit here. And the Demon King can use magic to distort reality, but the more he and other demons use magic, the faster a superpowered human that can fight demons gets born. And I thought that was kind of a neat concept. Kind of an interesting way to make it so that the Demon King would not necessarily want to be using magic, and actual consequences for if he started trying to do a little bit too much. So I thought that was cool. A lot of stories, regardless of how you feel about the quality of them, often have little neat nuggets of ideas in them. This also reminds me that I need to finish the last season of My Hero Academia at some point. Because I don't think it necessarily explored all of the implications of its ideas, but I thought it had some kind of neat ones. Like the idea of, is it better to abandon your family to protect them from villains? Or better to stay with them no matter what, or abandon being a hero to protect them, and, you know, various things like that. Do you have more of a duty to the world or to the family that you decided to create? I mean, like, you don't have to create the tiny human, you know. If you are married to your work and you know that it would put them in a lot of danger, is it worth having children? And some of the implications of those thoughts. I thought that was incredibly interesting. But I kind of get the feeling they're not really going to go into it. Because it's kind of a scary thought. And one that doesn't really have a clear answer. Even though it directly ties to the main villain there. So, I'm still kind of curious to see where they're going with that, and that was a neat idea. I found the whole series to be okay. Yeah, I wouldn't call it bad, but there's just a few nuggets of genius in there, and I am just wondering if it would have been better if they went with a more interesting main character. Because a part of me also wonders if that's why there was that big ensemble cast. I'm actually noticing it. I was thinking about it a lot because I noticed it in Not That Kind of Talent too. Where the main character, honestly, not that interesting. But it's almost like to compensate for that, they made it a little bit more of an ensemble cast. Because it was hard to do anything super interesting with the protagonists that they picked. So it feels like most of the actions in the world are happening around him. That's, I don't think that's present in My Hero Academia. At the very least, Deku does want things, and I think that's useful. So, he still has some agency. He's still out there doing stuff. But it does feel like the most interesting stuff is happening with all the other characters as opposed to him. And again, remember, I haven't seen the final season yet. I'll get around to it eventually. I enjoy my cape shit too much, so... But that was just an observation that I've kind of had with some of the stuff that I've been reading. And I've been thinking a lot about these things and what makes stories interesting. And I was actually thinking a lot about this with Zero Escape as well. Because I really, really like death game stories. Like, I like it a lot. I read a lot. I have read so much manga that are death game or death game adjacent. And I like them. So I am very familiar with death game story structure at this point. I have many examples to draw on. And when thinking about Zero Escape, I just remember in the first game, 999, within the first few minutes, the very first thing that happens is you're on, or at the very least you think you're on a ship. A very large cruise ship. And the main character is like, how did I get here? And, not understanding anything. And then suddenly the ship starts to sink. And the room you're in is flooding with water and you have to find a way out. And that is just immediate tension. Because you, in the background, during the gameplay sequence, you hear the rushing water in the back. You are wading through water through the entire thing. And various things like that. The water is present. The immediate threat of death is just obvious. And so you gotta find a way out, and the tension is very high. And then you go up and, you meet all the other people in the death game, and then one of the characters breaks the rules and literally explodes. There's a bomb inside of him, and there's a bomb inside of everyone. And so it all feels very, very serious. There's just the immediate death. It's all... It shows that the mastermind behind it all is serious, right? Because there is a dead person. Whereas in the second game, you kind of have this snarky bunny guy that speaks in rabbit puns, going in there and being like, oh, you're in an elevator and it's gonna fall if you don't get out, oh no. But you don't have the feeling of that rushing water. It doesn't feel quite as real, and I mean, it's revealed the second you get out of that first room that it wasn't even an elevator, it was a room on the floor. There was no threat of falling. So that the tension already wasn't quite as strong, and it just dissipates immediately. And then no one dies. Yeah, I mean, the first route that the Let's Player I was watching went through had 0 deaths. It was 9 hours into that Let's Play that someone finally died, and it was a bad end that you were supposed to prevent. And that's wild to me. So everyone is just kind of going along with what the mastermind is saying because there's a threat of death, but I am not convinced that it's actually real. And I'm wondering if he's just trolling again. So I just don't feel like the tension is quite as high here. And it just really showed me how important having someone just die right away is, and why so many death game stories do that. About the only one I can think of that didn't have kind of the equivalent of immediate death. I mean, it didn't apply here. It wouldn't be... It wasn't that kind of death, but a Liar Game Liar Game didn't really have that equivalence to it. But that was fine, because it was just about money and, death there. And also, I think it was just a guy that just really wanted to talk about game theory, and as a story, it was honestly it was weaker. I thought the main character now had good development, but overall, I just feel like making a story was honestly a secondary goal for him. He just really, really wanted to talk about game theory, and so it was different, and it was going for a different kind of tension. That the threat of death was never hanging over people's heads. And so it was fine if the threat of death didn't feel real, right? Or at least that's kind of how I read it. But that's literally the only one I can think of that didn't have have someone die fairly quickly. Fairly early on. And seeing it firsthand of what happens when you don't have that early death to show that the mastermind is serious and that this is life or death. Yeah, it makes a huge difference. So that was really interesting to see. I'm really glad that I decided to read this series. I am learning a lot. And the hair is coming along. Lots of little things to fix through here. Let's see, I think I'm gonna restructure this part. I'm gonna make this, yeah, a little bit more like that. I think that looks nice. I've still just been thinking about writing a lot lately, and I've been trying to analyze what I read a little bit more. I've done it with games for a very long time, probably since, oh man, I must have been like 14 or 15 when I really got into it. Maybe even younger than that, actually. Because I remember when I was young, I just had a super big fascination with MMOs, and I wanted to try to figure out what made them fun to play, because there was nothing about them that seemed like they should be fun, and yet I was having a blast, and it was very strange to me. So I just started really trying to understand them and which parts, you know, I thought were working really well and which parts weren't. So that was where it really got started, and then I started applying it to other games, and it just kind of went from there. I think games are neat. And they are worth thinking about. So now I'm just kind of doing the same with writing. I want to go read some more short stories on stream at some point. My throat had been bothering me for a long time, so I hadn't really had a chance to do it. But I don't know, at some point. Right now I have some other stuff that I'm working on, so I don't want to pick up an extra stream day just yet. And I don't want to put anything else I'm doing on hold, so eventually. I probably will be having a fourth day of streaming a week, though, because I have been studying Godot, and I think I am getting to the point where I would be comfortable streaming it. Right now, I'm just doing a practice where I am recreating Pong. without Googling things too much. And it's like, if I can create a simple game like that without really having to look a bunch of stuff up, then, you know, I think I can at least do some stuff on stream. Because my husband and I have been developing a game. Wait, I think I'm at that our development is at the point where we're ready to start making a prototype. And start tweaking things and make sure it's actually fun and whatnot. I think it's gonna be rad. I'm so excited for it. And I'd like to stream it. Now, that said, unlike what I do with my art, that will probably not be entirely on stream beginning to end, because I would never finish it if I only worked on it for 3 hours once a week. And there's some points that I think will just be super dull to watch and that kind of thing. So, but mostly just because I would never finish it if I only worked on it 3 hours once a week. Like, that would never happen. So I got a little bit more I want to study here. I got a little bit more stuff I want to work on off stream. Before I do that, just make sure I'm all ready. And, you know, then we'll probably get another stream a week, probably Thursday. And then if there's weeks that I'm really feeling the stream and I would like to do another one, or I just really want to do more reading, then, you know, maybe we'll read some more Sherlock Holmes. Probably stick with that. I remember at first I was thinking of doing Lovecraft because I was interested in reading a lot of the Cthulhu mythos stuff. But then I actually went and read one, and oh my god, his vocabulary is something else. And trying to read some of those big words would be hard, for one. And then for two, there's a ton of made-up words that are supposed to be unpronounceable. And they certainly look unpronounceable. But I think the final nail in the coffin was because I fear YouTube, and Lovecraft uses racial slurs more often than I would feel comfortable with. And I don't want to have to alter the text or censor it. I think that's a bad form. We should remember what the people of his time period were like. And I don't feel right altering old works. It's still, regardless of how you feel about him, it's still his work and his words. And I don't want to change them, so makes it a little bit hard. And I just think that might get YouTube rather upset with me, so I decided to avoid it. Sherlock Holmes has the extra advantage of I get to solve a mystery, and that's fun. So, you know, it worked out. But yeah, I'm just really interested in looking at what people have made. It's one of my hopes that if I ever get big enough for it, that maybe I can do the same with viewer artwork and stuff. That sounds pretty fun. I don't think I'd want to do critique streams like some artists do. I have tried critiquing things in the past, but I am super deadpan and not very good with words, and tact has never been my strong suit. So I tend to just make people very sad, and I don't want to make people very sad. I honestly feel really bad about it. I do. And it happens even when I try really hard to throw in compliments there too. I don't do it on purpose, I swear. So I don't think I'd want to do critique streams, but you know, talking about how this is cool and what it does and how it's interesting. You know, that I can do. Because I think even beginner works do a lot of cool things. I think you can learn a lot from beginners. Just like you can learn a lot from small children. Becoming a parent has been awesome. Because it makes you see the world differently. If I had to compare it to something, you know those stories where the protagonist just suddenly discovers that, like, vampires are real or something, and there's this whole underground, hidden, supernatural society? Yeah, it's kind of like that, where once you know it's there, you'll never be able to see the world the same way again. It is... The world becomes that different. And... But more than that, kids don't really have a lot of the same hang-ups and compulsions that adults do. They are kind of able to just do what they want. And it gives you a very, very raw look at human nature. So you can learn a lot from it. Being a parent's been great. I am very glad I decided to have kids. And I'm glad that I decided to have two. You know, it's for science, because now I know that they're a little bit different. They're very clearly different people. And even at this fairly young age. And now I get to see those little differences, and it's pretty good. It's pretty great. It definitely gives me another point of data for further understanding. Wonderful. It's been fun talking with my daughter about art. She is very interested in it. And some of the things that she has said are absolutely adorable. So we did a thing where we'd draw together, and she wanted to have an art contest. So we'd both draw a thing, and then she'd decide which one was better. She actually did pick mine once. But for the most part, she picked hers, because I didn't do things like, one of the things we were supposed to draw was a mermaid. And I did not draw water or coral. I just drew the mermaid and some bubbles. And so she said hers was better because she drew the water and the coral. And this was apparently a thing that a mermaid drawing had to have. And then we drew another one about going shopping. And so, you know, I drew the aisle and shopping cart, person buying, I don't know, some bread or something, and she said hers was better because she drew the floor and the ceiling, and I did not. See, she's super cute. She's so cute. And I just thought it was interesting that those were things that she thought that those drawings had to have. And it was really funny because the first round that we did, the one that I ended up winning, was she wanted us to draw a turkey. It was almost Thanksgiving. So, you know, I drew a turkey, and I guess she really liked my turkey because she said I won that one. Even though I didn't draw the ground or the sky or, you know, any of those things. I apparently just drew a really good turkey. Little kids really do just get very funny ideas of how the world should be in their head. It's very cute. I love them. I love them so much. Good. We're gonna do more tiny human stories. So, my kids enjoy Sprunky. It's apparently very popular with elementary schools. And, recently, they've been wanting to actually play it as opposed to just watching terrible content farm stuff on YouTube. And I've been so happy because I hate the content farm stuff. But yeah, they've been wanting to play it, and it's been great because my son, he's very small still. And he has not been able to work a computer. He's tried a couple of times, but he just hasn't really had the motor skills yet. But ever since my daughter, the older one, started playing Sprunky on it, he's been wanting to learn, and he's at the point where he can now play Sprunky by himself. Even, you know, with the kind of complicated drag and drop stuff that you have to learn. And, you know, it's easy for us now that we're big. Like, you don't have to be an adult to be able to use the touchpad well. But he's super small, so it was really, really hard for him. But now he can do it, and he's really proud of himself. It's very cute. And watching that skill develop has been pretty neat. My daughter's been getting more interested in video games too, so I'm happy about that. Games are great. We've been playing Animal Crossing together. I remember getting it a few years back because I thought she might like it, but she just didn't quite have the skill, the motor skills yet, and the desire to actually figure it out. I think she probably could have developed them back when I got it. But she didn't really have the desire, but now she does, and she's been decorating the hotel and having a good time with that. And I got to teach her about, this is New Horizons, and I got to teach her about debt and loan payments, which is fantastic for me because I got to emphasize just how terrible having debt is. People are way too okay with it. So it's been a good time. I've been quite happy. It's really fun watching them develop, and I always hope that they have similar interests to my husband and I, as then we can do a bunch of cool stuff together. And so far, it's looking like that might be the case. I also really want to show her Breath of the Wild at some point. I think she'll like it, but I think she'll have a really bad time with combat right now, and frankly, I think she'll have a really hard time with just moving around still. So I've been holding off, and I figure that once she masters moving around in Animal Crossing, where the stakes are lower and it's a lot easier, it has kind of that pseudo top-down perspective, so it's a bit easier to figure out how you're going to move than full 3D. Where you can't see behind you and that kind of thing. And so once she gets a little bit better at that, I'd like to show it to her. I think she'll have a good time running around and exploring. Actually, she's been interested in playing Minecraft too. Typical tiny human there, and she really struggles with the movement in that, so she's just not used to things. But she's been able to build a few things. But right now she's stuck in a cave, and she's gonna need help from either my husband or I in order to get her out, and I haven't wanted to dig her out just yet, so he's been a little stuck. But I'm sure at some point we'll be able to do that, you know. Maybe next time she has a break. Summer's coming. And smoothing out all the hair has taken way longer than I expected. It always happens when I do hair, because I'm just so particular about it all. I personally think it's for the best, though, because I like to get everything on the head looking really good. No, rather than calling this when she's looking at you, I should have called it hair forever. Because I was expecting to be able to get in and at least get most of the face done, but that's not looking likely here. I always underestimate how long hair is going to take me. And honestly, my estimation of time has always been really bad. Just really bad. It's like, sometimes I think I should record my expected time and then my actual time, and then maybe at some point I'd get better at it, but I don't know, every time I start even thinking about recording time, I just get really anxious, and it makes me rush and do really badly, so I just prefer not to, and as a result, I continue to be really bad at it. Alright. Oh, that's alright. And to be fair, when I'm streaming, I also do draw a bit slower than when I'm not, because I have to talk at the same time. And, you know, talking at the same time, having to come up with things to say, formulate words. Sometimes I pause in order to think about words. It's all good. Looking at the time, yeah, I should at least be able to finish pigtails here. I am hopeful that highlights won't take that long. So maybe I can at least finish the hair. Then we can not touch it again, ever. I will be free until the next time I have to draw hair. Okay. Man, there's lots of tiny little holes here. Now that I've zoomed in, I can really see them. Just little fuzzy parts that were blurry at one point that I drew around but didn't see, so I didn't color them in. It's alright, that's why I zoom in for this. Make sure I actually get everything. And And this line I'm not quite satisfied with, so there we go. And then there's a little point over here where it's not quite connecting. Okay, that's all better. So I'll just keep working down the tip of the strand. Is that a hole? That sure is. Little sneaky one. Thought it could hide from me. It's wrong. Nothing can hide from me. It may evade my senses for a little while, but I always find it in the end. Always. Alright, so we just got some stuff here to smooth out. And I think this strand is actually almost done. There's a lot of stuff up there. And I think before I go and add any, like, hair texture or anything, I'm gonna smooth out the other side. And then I'll come back and see where I just feel like this strand is a little bit boring or needs a little bit more going on. Or like this, where it's just a little bit too split down the middle. I'm not going to worry about fixing that just yet. I will smooth out the line that I already have there, but I'm not going to fix anything else just yet. It is not yet time. Not yet. Alright. Yeah, just a little bit left through there. Just got an itch in my eye here. So I'm gonna, like, wiggle in the corner here, don't worry about it. Okay. Oh man, I've been staring at this so long that I have an after image in my... when I close my eyes. Okay. Well, to be fair, this is a very bright green, so I am not surprised in the slightest. Oh man, but now I can't unsee it. I did stay up too late last night, so I'm wondering if I'm still just a little bit tired, even after that nap. Man, it's like I had a nap and I had an energy drink. Kinda. Ones I have less sugar, but... and only about as much caffeine as coffee. So I get to pretend they're a health food. Hooray. Alright. Let's see. Yeah, let's just get this little guy down here. These little strands are very much separated from everything. So I can just get them right now that it's convenient. Sounds good to me. And I'll just work my way back up, I guess. Since I'm getting everything, I can do things in about any order I want. Doesn't matter that much. Follow the whimsy. Okay, no, this I wanted to get the top first. Unfortunately, the top looks pretty good already, so not gonna have that much work to do. Yeah, and this is the last little corner, because I think I already got everything up here. Yeah, sure did. Nice. So yeah, on the last little corner. Oh, you are not. Okay. This is that strand. It is not what I thought it was. I think it's okay for it to be a little ambiguous. I'll see how I feel when I zoom out again. I'm just gonna trust my past self for now. She's generally pretty trustworthy. Doesn't always get it right, but she does her best. And I think that counts for something. Just trying to line up the point of that with the green here. I don't mind the shadow being a little bit bigger, so I don't feel the need to keep the angle the same. But I want the point where the angle changes to kind of match up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. That's a good spot. Okay. And I think starting from the top definitely made it a little bit easier. Now I can just finish off this bottom part here, and then I'll go back to the top for the little strand sticking out. And that should do it. Okay, yeah. And, you know, up here, it's not looking half bad. Definitely got a little bump right there that I want to work out, but that's fine. I can do that. Then I just gotta smooth out the rest. Almost free. It's almost done! Someday I will be free from the hair once again. Oh my god. I think I say this every time I draw hair because it just always feels like a lot. And I feel like Nitty doesn't even have that much hair. I remember someone asking me if Shinon was going to be really hard. And no, she's actually probably going to be one of the easiest ones. Because even though her hair is really long, it's straight. And since these are all bust-up shots, I won't be drawing the whole hair, so all I have to do is just kind of draw a box with some random lines in it, and that's super easy. Now, if I was drawing her from head to toe, a full body image, that would be something else entirely. Then the hair would be a little bit more daunting. But since it's just bust up, hers is actually probably going to be one of the easiest. It's because it's going to be random bullshit go, and it'll look great. I think I said before, you know, being an artist is like being an illusionist. It doesn't matter what you actually draw, as long as people believe what you want them to believe. As long as you can fool them into thinking that this thing is what you want it to be, is what you want them to think it is, then, you know, you've succeeded. Doesn't actually matter what's under the hood. They do it a lot. Once you really see it, you'll never be able to unsee it. Like, there's very famous paintings where there's going to be some people in the background, and when you look at it from far away, you expect it to be a detailed shot of a person because it kind of looks that way. But when you actually, you know, walk up to the painting, really look at it, you'll see it's just a single smear of paint. With maybe another smear of paint for hair or something. Very, very easy. Probably took him less than 5 seconds. Happens all the time. It's pretty funny. Alright, there's one of them. Let's get the other one now. Oh god, I can't wait till I'm done with hair. Let's get it done today. I believe in myself. I also don't have anywhere to be, so, you know, if it takes a really long time, maybe I'll just go late. It's because I want to be done. I want to be free from hair. This next episode, I'm gonna call it I'm Free from Hair. Because I swear, when we get into hair rendering, I just have to talk about random bullshit. Hello there, cool cowboy. Welcome. Oh, thank you. I drew and rigged her myself. Alright. Right now, I'm just getting into hair, and, you know, drawing lots of hair always drives me just slightly crazy. Because anime girls are, you know, probably a good 75% hair, if you're doing it right. At least it feels that way to me. Yes. But it's okay, you know, I'm almost done with it. Soon I will be free from all the hair. Yep, they do that. Yeah, it's fine. Someday, maybe I'll fix it, but I don't know. I don't think it's that important. Some of it, I think, is probably just limitations of the tracking software I use and whatnot. But at some point, I do kind of want to dig more into tracking. I just haven't had time. I think the technology is super neat, though. And just how far it's come in, like, the last 10 years, it's, really kind of incredible. I couldn't imagine there being so many... so many people that could just come out and do this for fun. Oh, and thank you. Yeah, it's all... Like I said, I think the technology is really, really interesting. So... I don't know how it works under the hood. But I was able to do enough to at least make this guy. And kind of get me started. And that was pretty worth. I was still pretty happy with it overall. There's actually a pretty good amount of resources out there on the internet. And even if you can't use Live 2D because it's like stupid expensive, I did not use Live 2D. I used an open source alternative called Inochi 2D. And it is functional enough to do a bunch of stuff. At least, you know, make pretty good models. I think mine's looks pretty okay. Thank you. I like them. I got to make them super wiggly. I wanted my face to look a little bit more jello-like than the rest. Oh yeah, I mean, if you want to look into Inochi 2D and a puppet string, that is what I'm currently using. And I think that they're both pretty good. It's just if you use Inochi 2D, make sure to keep lots of backups. It's a little bit unstable still. But it is at least free, so you can try it out and see if you enjoy rigging. I think it's a good time. I want to do more of it. Just need time to do it. And I don't time, and I'm afraid of doing it on stream again because, Chi2D is still a little bit unstable. Alright, well thanks for stopping by. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you. Just gotta finish the hair, man. It's gotta be done. Hair is always just a lot. So, last night, my husband and I were playing Slay the Spire 2, and we were playing the Defect, and we made probably the stupidest claw deck in existence, and somehow won. Just thinking about random bullshit Go just made me think about that, because that's basically the deck. Let me see, how do I describe how this thing worked? It was so dumb. I don't even know how we were able to win with this. But, yeah, it was largely centered around Claw. So, you already know it's special. And... oh, God. So, for people that don't know Slay the Spire, what Claw does is it starts out with really, really low damage. But every time you play it and any other claw card you have in your deck get an increase to damage for that fight. So it can ramp up pretty fast. I think that on the final boss, the last one we did, even with our strength debuff, did like 40 damage or something. Which may not sound like a lot, but we were fighting the queen, so there's a lot of debuffs going on there. Actually, it wasn't a strength debuff, it was weak, right? Whatever. Same idea. And that's why I say I'm just trying to think of how to describe this deck, because it was based around Claw and inflicting statuses on ourselves for trash treasure and getting a lot of random orbs and 0-cost cards. So it really did just feel like, okay, we're just gonna pray and hope it works out. And then what made it really, really funny at the end, it just felt like the ultimate shitpost, was at some point we got this event that gave us a doll relic, and we got Bong Bong, or Bing Bong, excuse me, who every time you take a card, you get 2 of that card. So you double it. And then we took an event at the end with the... oh god, I forget his name, but the devil. And what... we took the option that gave us a bunch of wish cards, because we needed more ways to find what we needed in our deck. We needed it to be a little bit less random bullshit Go. So we took the wish cards with the curses, and then we forgot that Bing Bong was gonna double it. So we instead of 2 curses, we got 4, and instead of 3 wishes, we got 6. So we were just trying to find out with clever ways to dodge regret. And I could not stop laughing, man. It was such a dumb deck. It was incredible. I still have no idea how it won. But it was pretty fun. So far, enjoying Slay the Spire 2. I thought it was going to be a lot more of the same, but it does seem like they tried to mix things up a little bit. The new characters are really cool, and the new enemies are all really cool, and I look forward to seeing what the finished version looks like. I can tell some areas where maybe they're gonna want to balance things a little bit. But I mean, I think what they have so far is really, really good. So, if you want to try it out, I think it's very worth. If you liked Slay the Spire, you will definitely like Slay the Spire too. Go support the developers. They've been doing good work. Man, now that I think about it, I actually have been able to play a lot more video games than I have in a while lately. Feels good. I missed doing stuff, so I'm glad that I'm able to do a little bit more. And I've been thoroughly enjoying the stuff that I've been going through. I guess, strictly speaking, I'm not playing Zero Escape, I'm watching someone else play it. But we'll see what happens. I've actually been wanting to read some more visual novels. I realized a while back that I probably would not be able to draw a comic as I am now. I cannot draw fast enough. It would take me way too long to finish a full one. So I've been thinking about how to transition that story into something that I could maybe feasibly do, you know, now with my current skill set without having to spend a bunch of time just really focused on developing it, so this way I could just do something. And visual novel came up. That would still potentially let me do some cool stuff with art and maybe some interesting stuff with Inochi 2D and all that. It sounds like the Godot extension is almost done. Or at the very least, it's being worked on, so I'll be able to throw it into Godot, and that'll be fantastic. So, lots of potential for cool stuff there, I think. I've been trying to read some, you know, see what they do. I don't know if I want gameplay or not. I'm fine with it just being a book. Minimal to no decisions. When I think of some that I've enjoyed, it'd be like the When They Cry series and stuff, and those didn't have decisions, so it's fine if I just want to focus on writing the story with some cool art. Maybe find some music out on the internet somewhere that I can use. There's actually a lot of sites out there, a lot of songs out there that are basically free for use with proper attribution, so I feel like I have options. So I'm just kind of taking a look at what people are doing with them. See if it's something I'm interested in too. See if I can figure out how to wrangle a couple of these stories in my head. Right now I've been doing other things, but I might look into that again soon. And I've had another thought of more simplistic storytelling that I actually do plan to do on stream, so that will probably happen after I finish Katya. Or on the off chance that I happen to finish, you know, Nitty, Willy, Shinon, and Anya before I finish Katya, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm not that slow. And that drawing isn't going that badly. It's not going bad at all. I've just been having a hard time wrangling certain things, and I don't know why. I tried to keep everything real simple, but for whatever reason, something about it is just, taken longer than I expected. This is why I don't feel like I can draw a comic, man. Okay. But yeah, I plan to do that one on stream, so I'll probably talk about it more once I actually do it. I'm actually trying to talk about the things that I plan to do in the future a little bit, less. Just because sometimes when I feel like I talk about it, I get some of that catharsis of, oh man, I'm gonna do a thing and it's gonna be great, and then I don't do it. Or rather, I get the emotional catharsis and I don't feel my heart trying to explode, keeping it all in, and that feeling could actually be very useful for actually getting stuff done. So I'm trying to talk about it a little bit less. It can be hard sometimes because I feel like a lot of my stream commentary, especially when I'm doing things like rendering hair, is a pure stream of consciousness, so it's whatever I'm thinking about, and when I'm on stream, I'm often thinking about stream stuff. So it keeps happening. Can't help myself. Gotta put my brain in its place. I can think about other things. I can think about cool things like, you know, outdated science, or brains, or, you know, what have you. Alright. So we're getting there, and I think I already mostly smoothed out her jawline. So I think that's actually all looking pretty okay. Yeah, it makes sense, because I always do the outer part before I do the inner part. So I think this one's almost done. It has less area than the other one. So that's very nice. I'm almost free. Please. I just want to be free from hair. Let me go. It's wrapping around my soul. Getting into every nook and cranny. I think I'll be finding hair everywhere for the next week. I'll be seeing it in my dreams. It'll haunt my nightmares. Just the slow and steady encroach of hair. Slowly trapping me and never letting me go. And I guess more than finishing it today, I just hope that next week I still like it, so I don't have to go back and do a bunch of touch-ups. I want to be done with hair. I want to be free. Why do anime girls have to have so much hair? I think if you look at the anatomy of the anime girl and compare the weight of the hair to the rest of their body, their hair would weigh more. It's a good thing it looks good. Otherwise, I'd never draw this. Just have all the anime girls be bald. It'd be funny. At the very least, I think I only have like a couple of strands left. So I got this one, I got that one, I think that's about it. So, you know, almost there. Just gotta be patient. I'll be free soon. Free from hair hell. I still have the highlights to do, but I'm hopeful they won't be that bad. Granted, I was hopeful that the pigtails wouldn't be that bad, and here we are, you know, almost 3 hours later. Like 2.5 hours later, and I'm still here. screaming internally. I guess it's more external now that I'm actively complaining about it, but... Herb-a-derb-a-derb. Okay. Just gotta get it. It'll be fine. I always win in the end. Sometimes it just takes a little while. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna defeat the hair, and it'll be great. It's like I've already given most of my advice for painting hair of just, you know, make sure to vary up the size of the strands and whatnot, but besides that, you know, you just gotta be patient. You just gotta go and keep going until it's done. Keep going until you're happy. There we go. I just want to get this a little straighter. It's the last strand. I'm trying not to get impatient. Doesn't matter how much I want to be free. If it looks bad, it just means I'll have to do a hair next week, right? So, you know, I'd rather not let that happen. So I'm gonna take my sweet time, and I'm gonna make sure everything looks good, so I don't have to look at it next time. And I can, you know, look at it in a different way. Look at it in the, ah, yes, hair is done and it looks lovely way, as opposed to the stare deeply into it and realize how much more I have to draw. It'll be great. Hand cramping a little bit. Okay. It'd be great. I want this line to be just a little thinner through there. So I'm going to fix that up. I do want the bend to still happen at about the same spot though, so that means this part's going to have to be a little thinner, and that's all well and good too. And this is not straight. Oh man, my hand is cramping too much. I gotta use line tool. Hold on, I'm actually gonna take a minute to stretch that out. I hate hand cramps. Stretch. Gotta stretch everything while I'm at it. Yeah. Okay, I feel a little better. I'm still gonna use the line tool for it though, because hand getting a little bit sore from all the hair drawing. So I'm just kind of gonna decide where certain parts should be, and then a line tool. And then I'll fix it. And just kind of clean it up afterward. But yeah, there we go. That should be a little bit easier to manage than just trying to do it all. And with any luck, my hand will stop cramping and I can do highlights. But honestly, if it keeps feeling like this, I might just have to stop. Because it's really hard to draw when your fingers don't want to move right, you know? Okay. There we go. Hair. It's done. Well, okay, no it's not, but the main bulk of it is. Oh, did I delete the highlights? I sure did. Okay. So I'm not gonna be able to salvage anything. Alright, well, that's fine. Let's go ahead and kind of plop in where I think the highlight should go. Oh, man. Okay, let's see if I can plop him in. But man, I keep trying to put my hand down, and it's saying no. Can I do it left-handed? Oh, nope, definitely not. Okay, I'll just try very loosely holding the pen and seeing if I can at least get some basics in before I stop. No, I really can't, man. Yeah, hand says no. Man, I haven't had a cramp this bad in a long time. And it's like I'm trying to put pressure on it, and the hand is just like, eh. So, oh man, unfortunately, I think I'm just gonna have to stop. Oh god. Okay, I'm gonna try stretching it out again. But I don't want to push it. I don't want to hurt myself here. So if it doesn't start feeling a bit better here, then I will just have to stop. Yeah, I don't want to give myself carpal tunnel or anything, because then you won't be able to draw at all, and I still have to draw a present for Ava Hawthorne for her birthday. So... oh, man. Yeah, and if it's like this, I will definitely not be able to work on that today. But that's fine. I wasn't really expecting to. I don't normally do a bunch of drawing on days I stream, and I never do drawing on Sunday, so... Ew, that's scary, though. I've never had it this bad. Let's see here. Okay, I'm gonna flex my fingers and stuff a little bit. Let me just look away. We'll just hold off. Just a little. So this is a good time for questions if you have any. Since I can't actually really put stuff down. Phew. Okay, I'm gonna kind of flex my wrist a little bit. Oh man, I'm actually a little bit sad. So, yeah, sorry I gotta kind of pause where I'm at here, but it's alright. I at least finished the basic part of the hair. I just want to get the highlights done too. I wanted to be free. So I'm gonna give my arm and hand a little massage here. See if that makes the muscles relax a bit. But I don't want to push it. Okay. Yeah, it's starting to feel a little bit better. Let me give it another minute or so, and then I'll see if I can get the highlights in. I'm determined to finish the hair, okay? Not to the point that I'll hurt myself, fear not, but I really want to get it done. I don't want to have to work on it next. Say have to, as though drawing hair is like something terrible, but it's just super time consuming. Okay, yeah. Alright, it's feeling a bit better now. I think I'm gonna get my wrist just a little bit more here. Okay, let's try that again. We'll see if it's a bit better. Yeah, no problem. Okay, cool. I fixed it. Bodies are the worst. I hate them. Anyway. Okay. That was honestly a little bit scary. But now we can do something even scarier and draw some hair. I'm always a little particular about my highlights. So here we go. Just gotta kind of brush them in a bit here. Oh yeah, I was also gonna do strandy parts. Ah, shit, I have a bit more to do than I remembered. Okay, that's alright. I can do both. All is well. So I just kind of do like little N and V shapes like that, and that tends to be just how I handle it. And right now I have a stroke on the layer from earlier, and that's what's putting the black outline on for me. It makes life nice and easy when I want to do this style instead of just hand drawing all of the black lines around it. I don't want a lot of contrast here, so... And these ones I'm going to keep quite small. I don't want them to be that big out in the pigtails here, but I think they should have a little bit. And then I'll go in and smooth it out, make it all nice. Let's see, I think I'll put one up here, but only up there. I don't know. Should I put one here? No, definitely not. Up there. That's all that needs it. And so I think that's it. Once I refine those shapes, it should be good. Since I got started on it, I kind of want to finish it before I go back in and add strandy effects. So, that's fine. I'll just go ahead and finish this. All is... I guess I'm starting with the strand. Sounds fine to me. It's funny because I typically am just, you know, saying stuff while I go through and get started somewhere. So I'm not really thinking too much about where I'm starting. And so once I kind of come to and I realize what I'm doing, I'm just like, oh, I picked there. Okay. Sometimes I find myself a little surprised about where I happen to pick. I'm just kind of debating on the shape I want this to be, but I think that this will be fine. I'll just plop a little shape in there, and then I think all is well. So I'm still going to be very particular about the hair. I want to make sure it looks really nice. I tend to feel that way about the stuff that's the most time-consuming, and it makes it even more time-consuming, but it's like, if it's already gonna take a long time, I like to spend the extra effort to get it really, really nice. It's like, what's the point of spending a really long time on something if it's just gonna look bad, right? So I like being very particular about it. It makes me happy. And highlights are important. They will make the hair look so much shinier. So much shinier. Put them in the right place and make them the right shapes. So right now, if you look at the strokes going around the highlights here, the black part, it's very round and kind of ugly. So I actually do have a layer underneath here that I will use at the end to fix all that. But first, I want to get the right shapes in. So that will be the first step. Oh no, that's no good. How about like this then? Yeah, there we go. So that is the first step. Just get it all nice and pretty so that this way I know which areas need to be made pointy. Which ones need a little bit of help. And which ones are just fine on their own. Alright. So here we go. You know, as always, trying to vary up the size and shape of them all. So this way it doesn't feel too samey. And it makes the hair still just feel organic. Like it is alive and not man-made. You know, as you do. I don't like that shape at all. Let's fix it. I think a shape like this will look nice. Just a little guy. Just a little guy. I have to be careful not to get too caught up in the exact shape of certain things, though, because it's gonna look a little bit weird until I fix the round parts. You know, maybe I should hide them for a second, just so I can sanely go about drawing my highlights. Yeah, let's do that. I want to put them back on before too long, but this one I was having a hard time smoothing out. I don't really want to be drawing and smoothing too much without them, but I can periodically turn them off if I'm having trouble getting it to all be the right shape. That is something that can make my life a little bit easier. So I'll do it. It'll be great. Okay, this is gonna be another one I turned off briefly, because I kind of want to get a particular shape for this, and it's not shaping. Yeah, there we go. That's a bit better. Let's just go ahead and get it nice and pointy for now. And then I can turn the stroke back on, and there we go. That feels okay. And yeah, looks like I'll go a little bit long, but I am insisting on finishing the hair today. I don't have anywhere I need to be, so I'll just let myself finish it. I want to be free from hair. I want to name the next stream about being free from hair, because I am always happy when the hair is done. I just feel like that is like half the painting done right there. Let's just get it done. Let's do it. Today is the day of hair's finishing. All right. The main thing is just, yeah, because when I do highlights, I like to make them kind of pointy, and it's just really hard to get that point right. when there's that blobby looking stroke going around it. But I also don't want to draw it without the stroke because then I won't know if I'm making them the right width. Like, these are all much thinner than I would normally make them. I would normally make them thicker than this, but with the stroke, this is actually a pretty good size. So it makes me very hesitant to draw any of them without the stroke present. So I just kind of gotta occasionally switch and turn the stroke off for a bit while I refine the point in order to make it look nice. That's okay. I'm pretty used to hiding layers in order to be able to see clearly, so I consider this just an extension of that. Because man, do they feel super blobby with the stroke on, and well, if you've watched me for a long time, you know how I feel about blobs. They must be cold, and I don't like them in my paintings. There is no place for blobs in regular hair, but I feel like it's even worse here when I just want everything to be full of super straight lines. But still, having the stroke, considering I do want an outline here, is way easier than not having it, so it's all good. I can make it work. It is still absolutely the right way to go. Alright, let's get the other side here, and I guess there's supposed to be a highlight here too that for whatever reason I did not refine. Glad I noticed. It would be very awkward if I left it there like that. I probably would have noticed when I went to go fix the blobbiness of the stroke, but yeah, no, it's nice that I noticed it sooner than that. Hello there, Purple Crossing. Welcome. Just drawing hair, and anime hair is always time consuming. Oh, why are you happy? Okay, so let's make this one a little bit pointier, and I think from here I gotta turn it off again. There we go. Oh, congratulations! That's pretty cool. Good luck. Alright, let's see if I can get these pointed in the way that I want them to be. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And I'll still put the stroke back on for the next one. Get that all figured out. Let's see, I think I actually want this one to be the long side. Alright. Have fun. And from there, I can kind of come down here. I think I want it to be all the way to the edge of this. And there, that'll be where the point is. And once again, I just want to turn off the stroke because, man, it is so hard to make sure that the edges are nice and sharp with it on. But here I can kind of perfect the shape now that I know it's roughly where it should be with the stroke on. So I have the rough idea down. Okay. Let's see. I'll go ahead and thin this one just since I know that it's gonna have to be thinner, but then I'm gonna turn this back on and use that to get the rest. Just for all of this. I figured the highlights would at least be pretty fast. And we'll see how long the strandy parts give me. No matter what, I will finish the hair today. Thus says me. I have declared it, and thus it shall be. Okay. Still taking a lot of self-control not to rush, though. I must admit. But I do want the highlights to look good. They are important. And if they look bad, it'll be very noticeable. Okay, and I think I have the gist down, so I can go ahead and just clean it all up now. I think it's fine that this one doesn't go all the way to the edge. I think it looks perfect, just like this. Maybe normally I do it a little bit differently, but, you know, this is a different style, so it has different needs. There we go. And that should look fine. Let's double check it. Oh, nope, the bottom is no good. That should fix it, though. Yep, sure did. Oh, and here's a little bit blurry, too. Even without the fix, I want to make sure that the stroke isn't blurry, because that can look pretty bad if I'm not careful. And I'd rather not have to be super careful with my fixes, so... Here we go. Let's see, I think I want a little guy just right through here. We'll just plop a little guy right through there. Just a little one. And then I can be a little bit more free with this one. And it will feel a little bit more continuous. The occasional little guy is really useful. I like them a lot. Okay. I think I want this side to be a little bit straighter, so I'm gonna push that up a little. I think this might be where I turn the stroke off for just a little bit. I think that'll make it easier to make this line a little bit straighter. Just because with the stroke on, it will, strictly speaking, never be straight. Yeah, there we go. That's better. And now, once I straighten out that line, that should let me turn this back on and have a nice looking thing. Yeah. I think it looks pretty good. Now I just gotta clean up this little guy here. And then I think there's only the few on the pigtail left. Almost there! Almost there. I just gotta keep telling myself, you know, hair, it's almost done. I got these highlights here. Then I got a few extra little strandy shapes I want to put in. And then I'm free. And then I'll be free forever. And the hair will be done on this. You know, in theory. Hopefully I won't have too many corrections for next week, but... It's there. Almost there. I think I'm just gonna make these two little guys. Yeah, just two little guys. little guys like that. I think also just add a little bit of hair texture. And so I think they're nice. And let's see, I kind of want the little guy to have a little bit more personal space here. So I'm gonna squish this end just a little bit. I'm just gonna squish it. Just gonna squish it. Okay, and that should be good. Let's make sure the little guy is a good shape, though. Alright. No, I don't like that little guy. That one's not an appropriate place for a little guy. This one has to be completely changed because it was overlapping a shadow there, but I think I still want it to be an end shape, so I'll still keep it there, and then we can have another little guy here. This one is a slightly bigger little guy, but he's still pretty little. I'm gonna give him a little triangle, make him a little bit bigger. And just piece by piece, it'll all come together. Oh man, I can almost fit what's left on one screen. Almost there. Oh, hair. I will not miss you. So I think after stream, I am gonna end up going to read more Zero Escape stuff, because I've been having a good time with that. I am quite curious on where they're going with a lot of things. But, you know, with it being a mystery game, I don't really want to spoil anything on stream, especially since this is an art stream. And, you know, not related to anything there. So, I do find myself quite curious about where they're going with all this. I did manage to work out most of the plot twists in the first one. I missed one, but I did manage to get most of the rest. So I've been paying a pretty close attention to try to work out what's happening here. It's been fun. I like little mystery games like that. They're pretty cool. Okay, I'm gonna refine that one with the stroke off. Let me just get the little guys that I want in here first. So we'll get a slightly bigger little guy here. And then I think I just want a couple of little ones right there and another slightly bigger one there. Yeah, I think that's perfect. All right. so now I'm just gonna make all this nice and pointy. It's gotta be pointy. The edges must all be quite sharp in order for this style to look good. Okay. And just smooth out over there. And before I go and round out all of the strokes there, or not round out, pointify all of the strokes and stuff, I kind of want to zoom out and make sure that all of this looks good and that I don't need to make any adjustments since I've been so far zoomed in the entire time. It's like I did check it before I started smoothing this all out, but nonetheless, I kind of want to check it again. Highlights are pretty important. So I want to make sure that they are looking good. It'd be a shame to come this far and then have them not look good. Don't want to get lazy. Don't want to get impatient. Yes, that was the word I was looking for. Impatient. But I am just so close to finishing everything here that I just want to do it. I do. I am perhaps a little bit impatient. Perhaps. Okay. Now that one I definitely gotta check to make sure that this is nice and well done. But yeah, there we go. I think that's all looking okay. Okay, now there's a little point up here. That's a little bit weird, so I'll go smooth that out again. I don't like any of those, so I'm just gonna draw them again. I don't think these ones need to be very strong or anything. So I'll just keep them relatively small. Something like that should be good. Yeah, let's smooth that out, and then I'll just put a couple of little guys right there. And that should finish everything off. So, hopefully with this, my highlights will look good. I can touch up the corners, get rid of the roundness from the strokes, and I'll have some stuff that looks nice. I'm gonna turn off the stroke for a little bit while I smooth this out, because this was not pointy enough, and I'm having trouble seeing it. And this will let me get right up to the edge in the way that I want to. There we go. Let's get some very pleasant pointy shapes there. Alright. I do think her hair looks pretty good, though. I occasionally look up at the thumbnail just to kind of see how things are going, and I am pretty happy with it. You know, my little thumbnail up there. I think it's looking good. I'm glad, because it took a while. But it's always nice to see things kind of coming together. Okay, so how does that look with the stroke? Are we good? I think so, so let's... Oh, hold on. I got a couple of weird things going on down here. So I'm gonna touch those up a little. Once again, just trying very hard to make sure I don't get impatient. Because it's very easy to get impatient when you're at the end. But yeah, I think that looks pretty alright. Let's see, I think I want the ones on this side to be just a little bit higher, though. So, like, right through here, I'm just gonna lift them up a little bit. That does mean I will have to move them around a little, but that's okay. I don't think I have to really clean them up, just move them. Maybe rotate them a little bit. That one has to be rotated just a little bit, but that's okay. So I might have to clean up a few tails and whatnot, but it's not that bad. This is just a little guy, so I'm just going to redraw him. That'll be easier than trying to fix it. And with the shift does come a little bit of cleanup, but it's better than having everything in the wrong place. Okay, this one I'm going to adjust the size just a little. But I think the shape was pretty good, so I'm gonna try to leave that alone. And this little guy just needs to kinda choose a side, and I'll put in another little guy. Okay. Let's fix up over here now. Okay, this one I actually am gonna flip vertically. And I'm gonna put his little point at the bottom where I have a little bit more room. This is always why I tried to sketch it out first. It does save me a bit of trouble in the long run, but yeah, you know, I got it wrong. So it just means I have to fix some things up. I did try. Nah, I like it better without the little guy. And here, I need to trim that one. Okay, there we go. That looks a bit better. I think it's following the curvature of her head a bit better. Okay, so let's go and fix up the round parts here. Because, you know, they're a little round and I want them to be nice and pointy. So this will just make things look a little bit nicer, a little bit more stylistically consistent. It's very subtle, but I think it's important, so I'm gonna take the time to fix them. Then I just need to add a few little strandy bits. And then all will be well, and hair will be done. So I think I'm just gonna finish this up. I might get a little bit quiet while I just finish up. Okay, what just happened there? There's like a little random line appeared. Okay, I'm not quite sure how that happened, but I guess I'll fix it. No? Is this just a random artifact from... Because that happens sometimes. I don't... Normally hiding it or coloring over it fixes it. Okay, there we go. Hate it when that happens. I hope someday that they fix that bug. That'd be wonderful. Because it always kind of freaks me out when I just see a random black dot somewhere. Because I happen to be using a stroke. It gets me a stroke. Yes. But you can see, it doesn't take very much to fix this. And now, all of my black lines here will be nice and sharp, just like everything else. And we won't just have these random round areas that just don't match. That's kind of the goal here. That's all I'm doing, really. I just want everything to match. Especially something as important as hair highlights. Okay, we got a little residue there that I gotta clear. It's okay. Sometimes small mistakes like that happen, and I just gotta fix them as I see them. Phew, I am definitely getting tired, but I am determined. I just really, really want to finish this off. To the point that I am repeating myself ad nauseum. It's all I can think about right now. Hair will be done. Hair will be done. I believe in myself. Okay, one more pigtail. One more pigtail for highlights. My hand's starting to cramp again, so I might have to hold off on the last little strandy bits on the pigtails until next time. But I think I can finish this. It's alright, we'll see how I feel once the highlights are finished. I don't want to push it. Yeah, it's getting kind of bad. I think I can at least finish off this part, but I should probably stop after that. I might not even be able to finish off this part, honestly. Oh, yeah. Okay, Anne says no. Anne says I don't get to finish the highlights today. It's very sad. But they're almost done, and I think she's looking pretty good. I don't feel like turning on the layers right now, so I suppose I will stop here. So, thank you all for coming, and I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. I will see you all next week, Friday, for more Copy Kitty, starting Savant mode. It's very exciting. I've been looking forward to it. So I hope to see you there.